The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing. Live tonight from the new Smyrna Speedway, this is round number 15 of the 2018 Upstate Racing League White Knuckle Clothing Pro Late Model Series. On your home for sim racing at LSRTV. We're up at the LSRTV booth. We're happy to say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the Chasing the Checkers 200, the final race of this 5-race chase for the championship as we get set to hand out the hardware tonight from the new Smyrna Speedway. As always, happy that you're with us alongside myself, Evan Pasoko, Austin Coop, and Chris Murdoch in a booth upstairs. And then downstairs, as always, is our lovely and talented producer, Cisco Scaramuza, twisted and tweaking at aisles and bringing us to you this evening. And Coop, it's been a long season as we enter week 15, and the championship still very much up for grabs into tonight, where rookie to this series, Matt Knuckle, comes in with an 11-point advantage over Stefan Maranak in a season that has seen these two go back and forth throughout.
Yeah, we have talked about how Matt Knuckle's not really a rookie in these cars and in this style of racing, but to this league, very much is the case. This is his first season with these guys, and he definitely aims to impress when it comes to this. He's only really had one bad race this season. It just happened to be the opener, and then he did miss a race earlier on in the season, which is why he wasn't at the top of the standings at the end of the regular season. But we knew he was going to be a strong guy to fend you off against, especially in these cars. And then, you know, especially for the championship at the end of the year, he's won the last 3 of 4 races in this championship. And the only other driver who has won is Stefan Maranak, who will be the challenger tonight.
And obviously, the way that this championship works, so we reset the points a couple of weeks ago. Chris knocked it down to 10 drivers, and all of those positions still very much up for grabs as we take a look at what that championship picture is coming into tonight. But obviously, Rasmussen, 29 points back, Hamill, 33, and Al Smith Jr. and McIntyre at 50 apiece. They're on and they're fourth, out of the picture, but with 1 point per position, not factoring the bonus points, obviously, which will be up for grabs and could make a big difference. The first and second ones are one of the tightest battles, and it's the one that everybody's going to want to watch. Matt Knuckle, 8 wins this season. Stefan Maranak with 4 wins on the year. These 2 drivers have accounted for all but 2 of the race wins this season.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting race, to say the least, between these 2 drivers. Like you said, Matt Knuckle, a rookie in this series, and as Coop said, definitely not a stranger to these cars. You know, we see him on Wednesday nights do his stuff over on the Myrtle Beach side, so it's going to be interesting to see this championship finale. What a better race to, you know, step in here and get here to call the season finale in New Smyrna. So should be a lot of fun here tonight.
Obviously, lots of things still up for grabs outside of the top 10 in the championship and whatnot, but it's time to round out another exciting season of Upstate Racing League action, and in order to do so, we have to drop the green flag for the 15th and final time. So we go trackside. This is a look at your LSRTV starting grid for tonight's Chasing the Checkers 200 from the new Smyrna Speedway. Starting on a pole position for this one and leading us to the green flag for the longest race of the season is the 88 machine of Jake Watson. He will be accompanied by the number 9 of Alex Oriens outside of the front row, starting in second position. Then you'll find championship leader coming into this evening. Matt Knuckle will roll off from third. Nicholas Rasmussen, another top 5 driver of the points, making his final start in the Upstate Racing League after a couple of seasons here with us, is right there on the outside of row 2, and just a step behind him, another driver looking for a little bit more in the points tonight. P5 on the grid is Al Smith Jr.
Then you'll find Rex Hoyle starting in the 6th position. Dan Dubuque, he'll start from 7th. Sean Gould, also another one of the drivers towards the back end of this point standings, wants to make it look a little bit better, so he'll start in the 8th position. In your final row in the top 10 is going to start AJ Hamill in 9th and Brad Carpenter in the 10th position.
Going through your mid-pack, we'll have the 20 of Justin McDuff going in 11th. 12th goes to James McIntyre Jr. Getting the 14th, going to be 13th in that 13 machine. The 14th position goes to Mike Holtzclaw, and Wayne McDuff III, it's going to be 15th.
Continuing on through, Brad Rogers Jr. will start tonight in 16th position. Michael Woodreed will roll from 17th. Stefan Baranek way back in 18th position. Needs to beat, again, aside from bonus points, needs to beat Matt Cucker by 11 positions in this race to take the title. He starts 15 behind him. Just continuing on through. Fodero on the grid, 19th starting spot. Belongs to the number 36 of Mark Royer. And that looks like that'll be it, as Andreas Lambert not on the grid as the field rolls down and we follow behind the pace car. Gonna take the green flag the next time by. We talk about this new Smyrna Speedway Cooper racetrack, clocking in just under a half a mile in length, 18 to 20 degrees of progressive banking for the short track located in Samsula, Florida. But biggest thing is it is the last and it is the longest race of this White Knuckle Clothing Pro Late Model Series campaign. 200 laps and 96 miles on the board.
One of the biggest things to mention is that the entire season, these guys have never had to worry about coming down pit road for a mandatory stop. They have to come down pit road once, so we will see tires on these guys for sure, because they have to come down for fuel. These cars cannot make it 200 laps. This is going to be one of the biggest strategizing races we'll see.
4 tires available on a pit road for the final time this year. American Ethanol, green flag flies, and we are championship racing for the new Smyrna Speedway. Jake Watson from pole will lead through turns 1 and 2. We'll leave a side-by-side fight for second behind him. There's a lot of 2x2. You're right on board with the drive up on the outside of the racetrack. That's Nicholas Rasmussen. He's got a front row seat of all of it, as it looks like the 69 car is going to jump up a spot. Matt Cucker already to second.
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch Matt Cucker throughout this race, but while we're watching Nicholas Rasmussen there in the corners, this is his final race this season in with these guys in the Upstate Racing League, and so this is going to be his bid farewell. You know for a fact he's going to want to try and win this race, or at least get the best finish he can out of it. Also, Jake Watson coming and returning for the final race of the season. A lot of finals here tonight for a lot of drivers, and especially for the 71. This is a final statement for him no matter what at the end of the season, no matter where he finishes. So keep an eye on the 71 no matter where he finishes, as we've got a battle for the lead.
Battle for the lead is on, and Matt Cocker, the 88, makes a mistake. Jake Watson was quick out of the gate, but he saw the sparks, got into the outside wall, and just 4 laps in for New Smyrna, championship leader Matt Cocker has gone to the point. Mentioned that he's got 8 wins this season. He has won 3 of the last 4 races in the championship. All 3 of those wins have come consecutively. That's a series high all season.
Yeah, and Matt Cucker really doing a great job of pulling away now of that 88 of Jake Watson, as Watson's going to have to kind of battle off the 96 of Al Smith Jr. You saw him looking low coming out of that corner there, Evan, but not going to quite be there for the run. Everybody going to single file out here throughout the most part, throughout your top 10. Nothing really going on. There's a little bit of a scruff between Keelan Fortin and the 61 of Dan Dubuque. It looks like Dan Dubuque going to drop a few positions off of that one, actually, so not sure what's up with that 61 machine. He's going to drop a few positions. Meanwhile, not too much going on up front, as Matt Cucker still kind of pulling away ever so slowly.
Trying to get a little bit of a gap, but again, at a race like this is very much unlike any other we've seen this year. We did get the race lengths a little bit longer in the last couple of weeks, both Myrtle Beach, Southern National, I guess, as well, with Oxford Plains 150-lap events to get longer and longer as the season works on. That is quite in sharp contrast compared to, you know, the 100s and the 125-lap lengths that we saw at the beginning of the year. And these drivers are well aware that as the season goes on and as we enter the chase for the championship, Championship, these races would get longer, and it very much appears that Matt Cucker has answered that call and stepped up his game. Jake Watson, though, keeping him honest, will not let him pull away. Jake Watson is one of the few drivers not named Matt Cucker or Stefan Baranek that does have a race win this season. Won it all the way back in the 4th race of the year from Martinsville in the OnPitRoad.com 100.
Coming down into turn number 4 is going to be the 24 of Sean Cool. He's looking on the inside of Alex Oriens there for just a moment, but Oriens has the drive off. We've been watching this battle for a couple of laps now as they're coming out of turn number 2, and the 24's got him on the inside just for a moment each one of these laps, but just isn't able to really get into there as Matt Cucker goes high, and the 88 is going to be able to take the lead. He's going to snatch that thing away. I don't know if that was a mistake by Cucker or not, but nonetheless, lead change right in front of your eyes.
It didn't look like he really made a much of a defensive run into the corner, maybe seeing that Jake Watson's pushing the car, thinking, all right, if he wants to go, I will let him go to the front. I'll tuck back in line and hang on to my equipment, because Matt Cucker, not somebody that you would expect to see to make a mistake of that magnitude to miss the corner by 4 car lengths and push it way up the hill. It is a little bit of a risky move, though. He had to tuck right back in line and was able to do so. Al Smith Jr. has been on the charge as he's got the white knuckle clothing colors on board his 96 in 3rd position. He's +2 after starting in 5th, so keep an eye on him as well to continue to challenge as you look out the front end of that car back at Cucker, who is 2nd position, and then of course in front of him Watson, your race leader, but single file throughout the top 5.
Yeah, and I think everybody's just kind of trying to conserve their stuff here, Evan. Really try to make the cars last as long as possible. You see Matt Cucker not get the run he really wanted off the corner. That means Al Smith Jr. is going to be all over the back end of that 69 machine. As you see them going down the back straightaway, Nicholas Rasmussen, you can see on board of his machine really diving it in there. Is now look at that, Al Smith Jr. going to make quick work of Matt Cucker there. Just going to go right on by, say see ya Matt Cucker, and hello Jake Watson.
Just like that, continue to make moves as Cucker in the number 69 machine now continues to drop back up on the outside of the racetrack once more. Here comes Rasmussen behind them, almost contact. Alex Oriens at a 9, Sean Cool in the 24. They also went side by side. They single found to back out after the 24 rolled out of the throttle. Rasmussen will complete the pass, and 9 car going to keep the pressure on. Everybody teaming up on Matt Cucker. This is not somebody that these drivers are going to take it easy with. Oriens is not going to be able to complete the move as they single file out, but Cucker falls from the race lead to 4th at about 10 laps.
I really don't think he's having a big struggle, but I don't think he's pushing it as much as the other drivers are, and I think I have to believe that he has been pushing out of turn number 4. I have been seeing that more than any other driver, actually. He's been abusing that right front out of the corners, and he has been going out the tracks a little bit, as we're watching the 88 of Jake Watson do in the corners as well. So perhaps he's doing something to maybe find somewhere some speed is, because he wasn't the fastest in practice, and you know, there's a few drivers in front of him that really get more speed, which typically we see Matt Cucker at the top of all the leaderboards, but for the time being that's not happening. But look back in the pack just a little bit. Looks like the number 18 of AJ Hamill is trying to get position on the number 20. Remember, these guys early, they are battling for points inside the championship, but it's pretty closed off for them. And then you start looking at where the heck is Stefan Baranek in that number 25. Well, he's all the way back in the number 14 position, just kind of moseying around, which is not something he needs to be doing. He needs to be getting up there as quick as he can, but he's off the lead by 4.4 seconds. And if he wants to win a championship, he basically needs to get up there and win. Nope, Matt Cucker has an issue.
And he has to beat Cucker by 11 positions, although Matt Cucker has already secured a single bonus point for leading a lap, so he has to beat him by 12. He currently trails him by 10. That means you're looking at a 24 position swing that needs to happen in order for the championship to go to the 25 of Stefan Baranek. Baranek, very much a veteran of this Pro Late Model Series of the Upstate Racing League, and of course we have seen and heard a lot of Matt Cucker in recent months, and the iRacing service here on LSRTV and iRacing Live, especially on Wednesdays with our friends over at CEA and the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. So although he does have that R next to his name and is technically fighting in the Brian Rogers Motorsports Slamming the Do Rookie of the Year Championship as well, very much a competitor for this thing ever since we knew that he was going to be on the list, and And you see that 4th position is well more than enough to get him the championship. So maybe that kind of ties in, Chris, with why he wasn't too confrontational in really trying to put up a big fight to prevent those cars from getting around him, because he's still in a fantastic spot.
Yeah, he's really in a fantastic spot, and he's just really out there riding. No struggle out the back for him in regards to Stefan Marinak. But meanwhile, two drivers really going at it, because yes, there's a battle for the championship going on, but there's been a battle for the lead been going on for the past few laps here, as the 96 of Al Smith Jr. has been looking low on Jake Watson for a few number of laps there, and you saw him shade it coming out of 4 there, but not going to really have the run that he needs to get up there. He's there. He's all over the back bumpers, you can see on his onboard camera right there as they go down the back straightaway, but really not going to be too much. And never mind, here he goes, a slip up by Jake Watson, running a little bit too high in the corner, is going to really open the door for the 96 of Al Smith Jr. as they're off into 1.
And to the inside, the 88's way up top, even higher than the line Matt Cucker took it. It is going to be Al Smith Jr. to the race lead. He had led it at the start-finish line, but he is now clear for that position. And Watson still pinned up top, going to get passed by Rasmussen and Cucker in 1 corner. And just as we saw happen at the 69, your race leader this time around, Watson, goes 1st to 4th. The 9-car LSRTV again trying to make a move on the inside. 2nd consecutive time that has not worked, as he stays trapped behind in P5.
And it's pretty fun to watch Al Smith the lead. I mean, if he leads 2 more laps, he'll lead the same amount of laps that he's led all season long, which is really remarkable. And he'll probably lead a few more, but he's actually one of the fastest drivers out there. Really kind of an unsung driver at this moment. And there's some really fast drivers. Stefan Marinak's chipping off with the leaders quite a bit, even though he's way back there. But these guys are getting a lot faster, and some of them are getting a lot slower. And I think both are by design. I think some drivers are starting to pick up the pace, while other drivers are starting to lead back. The 24 of Sean Cool is still trying to get that pass on the number 9. We've been watching. I mean, I've been watching this battle between these guys for some time. I mean, 24 has been trying this pass for, gosh, almost the whole race so far, and so far hasn't been able to get by him. And Alex Orions, I think if he gets to top 5, he'll be really happy, just because of his season has not been good, really, to say the least. So he wants at least to finish this race. I'd say that's one of the biggest keys for him. I think they'll give him a lot of momentum in the next season, but right now holding on tight to 5th place.
I don't know, for Al, you mentioned laps led. I know it hasn't necessarily been the season at the end of it all that he was looking for with a win this year, but does come into tonight 5th in the championship at a tie with James McIntyre Jr., who he is well outrunning, and only about 17 points behind Hamill, who's back in 9th, so is still a little bit out of touch as Smith leads this race with the likes of AJ Hamill 9th, Guillaume Fortin in 10th. Again, some of those championship drivers who, well, they're not fighting for 1 and 2, still definitely fighting for who ends up where inside of the top 10 overall. But maybe for the 96, as he stretches it out to 3/4 of a second, maybe we'll see the first time all night the leader get some distance. Rasmussen's trying a different line, a lot higher and more aggressive down into the corner that time.
Yeah, a little bit more high, a little bit more aggressive as they're going down to the corner. And meanwhile, still up front here a little bit. Nicholas Rasmussen kind of making a charge at Al Smith Jr. now. He's kind of found something in that little middle lane, really making a charge at it. So really doing some work is that 71 machine. Meanwhile, Matt Cucker making his way back up towards the front as well, right on the back bumper of that 71 machine. So the top 3 really tight group here, Evan, as laps are quickly ticking away here, already on lap 37.
Yeah, again, 200 laps is a lot on paper, and well, when you look at what's happening so far, uninterrupted in the green flag conditions, already working lap number 37. You're getting 3 laps in every minute around the racetrack, so you look at a race that's definitely going to last at least an hour of green flag racing conditions. But if you can stay like this, and again, the longer you stay green, the more spread out cars get, and the more likely it is that you can remain in these comfortable conditions. Nobody's saying this race can't go, if not at least all the way, with some pretty good green flag runs. And one thing we have yet to see is drivers catch up to lap traffic. Still, the last car on the lead lap is Mark Royer. He's only a half a lap behind, so So give it another, as we work lap 40, and about another 40 laps, we'll start catching up to the back of the pack. That'll present its own challenges, but for the moment, Al Smith Jr. is only concerned about the cars out the rearview mirror. He is no longer pulling away from Rasmussen. In fact, the top four, with Knuckle third and Watson in fourth, still within 7/10 of him up front.
Yeah, that little four group of drivers is, like you said, just kind of being where they're at. I think the 9 is starting to falter a little bit. The 24 is giving him the room he needs, but I don't know if it's going to be like that forever. And I'm kind of surprised that the 71 hasn't started to really chip off at the 96. And I'm actually kind of surprised that Matt Knuckle isn't starting to try and go after the 71 here. That seems like the time that would open up the doors. But this is a long race, and they still. I mean, there is going to be a time when we come down pit road. There is no mistake about it. They have to come down. And if we go green the whole way up until then, that could be a big difference. I know Marinak's 4.2 seconds off, but you could make a big mistake down pit road and be multiple seconds after that off of it. And a statistic that I think is really worthy of noting is that Marinak has had only top 5s this entire season. 14 consecutive top 5s. Looks like we might have a battle for the lead. 71 of Rasmussen's going to look to the bottom of the track. There he goes, right down to the bottom, able to get in front of him. He's going to clear right at 4. Nicholas Rasmussen in his final start. He will go to the lead.
And there's a lot of respect between Rasmussen and Smith right now, who run 1-2. They've been running in this series for years together. Obviously, Al Smith Jr., the administrator of the Upstate Racing League, who makes everything happen behind the scenes. That's why he's got the folks over at White Knuckle Clothing on board his car. And, of course, Nicholas, who I remember just a few short years ago, was battling for the rookie points. It has been so close in this championship battle so many times. He came into tonight, as you remember, 29 points off of the top spot in the championship, 3rd overall. I don't think he's going to be able to make up that distance, but he is the highest driver in the points without a win this year. How would that be for a walk-off to take the Checkers in his final start?
It would be amazing, Evan, and we know Nicholas Rasmussen's no stranger to winning these races, no stranger to being in a championship running position, but he's got a lot of talent behind him to hold off. Meanwhile, looking at the battle between Al Smith Jr. and Matt Knuckle, you saw how close Knuckle was to the back bumper of Al Smith Jr. just with our LSRTV cameras. Now you see on board just how close they are on Matt Knuckle's machine, but really doing a great job at making his way back up through the field. We saw him struggle a little bit here throughout the beginning of the race 7, falling all the way back towards P5, but now working his way up and making his way up towards the top positions, and he's been kind of riding steady for these last couple of laps. Maybe we see that change here in the next few.
And it looks like that, again, you just can't get any separation. It's all you can ask for is we'll go quarter distance this time by. Get set to complete lap number 50 in this race. A 200 on the board. Rasmussen, Smith, Knuckle, Watson, Orions, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's the view off of the back end of your race leader, and you can constantly see, even when we are single file and Chris, you know, in a position where we might not naturally consider it to be a battle because you see single file, you figure they're running, but because everybody's so tight, you continuously see everybody sticking a nose out, just taking a look, always keeping their options open. So right there, you saw a little bit of a jolt to the inside, and Knuckle thought about going down low on Smith. These guys are ready to make a move at a moment's notice, so you cannot back off at all.
I think what you're going to see here in the next few laps is Knuckle do one of those famous moves that he does by going just straight to the outside. But right now he's kind of stuck. Al Smith has got him where he wants him, and Al Smith really isn't losing Nicholas Rasmussen at the moment. I mean, the 98 or the 96 made a mistake, and Nicholas punished him for it going in the next corner, and Al Smith knew it immediately, and now Al Smith is not making any mistakes, and he's actually being right where he is. But one thing I'm starting to notice is everyone's starting to kind of come back into the fold of things. You can see this big line of drivers start to get closer to the front. that can only mean really one thing, and that's that we're going to probably get more side-by-side action, and with the race only being 1/4 of the way into it, I have a good feeling that we'll be tame for now. I think the 13 just made a daring move down to the bottom. That's gave me Fortin on number 18. He almost wrecked the number 20 right there, I think, but the number 13 is going straight to the bottom here in turn number 2 to try and get him.
They try to catch back up. This is kind of towards the back of this lead pack. I think the biggest gap that we have in between two positions inside of the top 10 is the difference between Fortin in the 13 and what was Stefan Marinak behind at 11th spot. Although the 13, though, struggling in recent laps, you can see the 25 is tightening things up and is considering looking to the inside. Flashes the nose and will go. Stefan Marinak knows that he has 200 laps to do it and has taken his time going through the field. That time by Fortin still in front at the line, but as Stefan Marinak puts those two left side tires down on the apron on the flat of the racetrack and pulls up in front, he is now broken into the top 10 for the first time tonight.
And it's like you said, Evan, he's slowly making his way up through the field, and I think he's really relying on these pit stops to bring him a little bit closer to Matt Cucker. Never mind, caution going to be out with Brad Carpenter.
And a lot of smoke. 31 car is turned around on the front straightaway, and this one happened with contact in a battle for 12th and 13th position. We'll take a second look at this one on the LSRTV replay. You can see headed down the back straightaway, the 31 machine, the 22 on his back end. And as they come off for the quarter, you'll see Holtzclaw get a better run, hooks up lower, and I think the 13 might have lifted a little bit because he was getting tight to the wall, but definitely that 22 got into that left rear, turned him around, and there's absolutely no way, Coop, that if you're that third with a Brad Carpenter, you can save that race car, and it is a very tight quarters track here at New Smyrna, and it was a good hit to the inside fence. No way he could have really avoided that one.
Yeah, and you saw him get on the brakes so hard. I mean, as soon as he hit the wall, he stopped just because of how hard he was on the brakes. So, really unfortunate for him, as that's pretty much going to be an unrecoverable race for Carpenter here tonight. So he goes to the inside wall, and we get basically our first cease of action for the first time tonight. I don't think any of these drivers will come down pit road. It's, I think, too early, but you might see some of them fuel up there towards the back and might try that kind of strategy. No one coming down right now. I think it'd be a smart idea to fuel up. You want it to fuel the rest of the race, and if it goes green all the way, you could go the rest of the race without having to come down from pit road. If I was a crew guy, I think I would tell some of these guys to come in. James McIntyre's coming in, but we'll see if he comes down for tires or not. Looks like he's going to get settled in his box, and I think he's just going to take fuel. So if this goes green the rest of the way, James McIntyre Jr. will probably win the race just based on that strategy alone.
It's obviously going to be something you want to keep an eye on as this race goes on. Big thing is, when you have a caution, you're going to group everybody else back up just past quarter distance and expect the sparks to fly. For how competitive we were, you know, Chris, 50 some odd laps off for the drop of the first green flag, still with action going on top to bottom, something tells me that these guys are going to have an even more kind of highlighted importance on getting spots right off the get-go. Very easy to lose, as we've seen, 3-4 spots and, you know, just a handful of laps. Not as easy to get those positions, so expect people to be elbows up for the restart.
You're exactly right, you know, and this is a great position because, you know, I was talking about Stefan Marinak before the caution to come out. Well, he's inside or the top 10 like we had mentioned, so it's going to be interesting to see how this restart plays out for him. Like we mentioned, nobody notably coming down pit road, so he'll have to do a whole lot of work, but he's inching himself closer. He's still got a lot of work to do, and hope that Matt Cucker runs across a mistake to finish 11 positions behind him, but it's definitely a step forward.
And looks like the lights on top of the pace car are out this time. Didn't get a restart as Nicholas Rasmussen in the number 71 machine decides to go outside line. Gonna put Al Smith Jr. second on the bottom. Remember, on the restarts, driver up top in control. Now the opportunity to restart this race, and it is a good one. Al Smith was probably already 1 to 2 car lengths off of the 71 when they came to the restart box, so it's well and easy out in front for Nicholas Rasmussen. They're going to fight for second behind. Jake Watson outside takes it from Smith.
Yeah, 88's kind of had a small little resurgence, but this outside line is really strong. Look at the 24. He's had really no advance in position so far tonight, but he's going to try and do it the outside of Matt Cucker. Really, the restart is going to be a huge breath of air for him in particular, as we're seeing the 96 go down to the bottom of the 88 right here in turns number 3 and 4, and the 96 is going to get that pass executed. What a move down to the bottom. Just did not care about what those tires said. He just went right to the bottom, got the job done, but here comes Matt Cucker, also trying to do the same thing, get third place back.
So side by side they go. Closest battle to the front you saw in the back. A couple more fights, but watching the fight for third as Matt Cocker takes it big in the overall championship picture. And after Jake Watson went on the gain to P2, he may fall to 5th before this one's done. That's the 24 of Sean Cool on his inside on the right hand of the screen. Good run top side though, and Watson is able to use that run on the outside to protect at least 4. So went up 1 and then back 2 to end up in 4th.
Yeah, back up in 4th after having a good start. Not a bad start now. Going to do a lot of defending now with Sean Cool all over the back bumper of that 88 machine as they go down the back straightaway off and 3. Sean Cool, not a driver we really talk about too much here tonight. He started 8th, making his way up to 5th. He's definitely been a really consistent on these lap times ticking away, and you see him running that bottom line. Jake Watson electing to run that high line again like he's been doing all night. You can see the run difference, just the line difference here, Evan, as they go off into the corners, just how much you can cut down if you run just maybe a lane or 2 up, because Jake Watson really pulled a gap away on Sean Cool by just doing exactly that. You can see him cut it down and get it. So definitely line changes happening throughout this long race here, 200 laps here tonight, and it's going to be interesting to see how the line changes even more throughout the night.
We've seen this racetrack noticeably get darker, and if you compare that from the start of the race, it's only going to continue on just past 1/3 of the way through. The chasing the checkers at 200 from the new Smyrna Speedway. Rasmussen, Al Smith Jr. Here comes Matt Cocker, though, diving to the inside. That is the fight for 2nd position, and it's not going to come to fruition.
Oh, big wreck.
Caution flag is out.
Big wreck in turn number 2, and that's James McIntyre Jr., who we just talked about, came down pit road, and I saw him go right into the, I think, one driver. He thought it was clear. Oh, man, big issues. We'll watch the replay here in the corner, and looks like some of these guys get checked up, and they're seeing a couple different angles on it, but he gets scrunched into the wall right here, and this kind of starts a little bit of an effect. Gets the 61 to the outside wall, and then he almost went up and over right there, and he's going to come down, collect the 22, which is going to be Mike Holtzclaw. Mike Holtzclaw is going to go back up the track, and you're going to see that the 06 had nowhere to go after that.
And they all checked up in front because I think there was close to being contact. There was contact between the 18 and the 13. They saved it. That's why you saw the 12 machine check up. You can see the car sideways on the left-hand side of the street. So everybody lifts. And then if you're McIntyre up top, you want to stay in the gas. And I just don't think the 61 saw him, came up and pinched him. And it's a tough break for all of the drivers involved. The 06 thought he might have been okay. Clear, clear, clear. And then the car comes slotted up the racetrack, and it is heavy damage for James McIntyre, which is obviously not something that you want at all, but he and Al Smith Jr. have a little bit of a bet going here tonight in the battle of the brands. James McIntyre in the Chevrolet tonight, Al Smith Jr. in his Ford. They have a bet between the two of them that whoever finishes higher will force the other driver to run their manufacturer for next season. So Al Smith Jr. right now in the Ford in 3rd. McIntyre with a lot of damage off the track in 16th position. It looks like that might be a number 06 Ford come next season, unless McIntyre can get that car fixed as best he can, try to get it back out there and clean things up a little bit. So interesting that we go nearly 60 laps without a yellow, and now 2 yellows within 20 laps of each other. Cautions for cautions is the age-old adage, and it has slowed things down a little bit here, just shy of halfway.
It really has, Evan, and you got to think, you know, for James McIntyre Jr. and even every driver out there, when a wreck happens around you, there's really not a lot of room for error, not a lot of room for mistake, especially at these short tracks. So, you know, it's a tough break when you get involved in some of those cautions, and we might see quite a bit more as we just crossed lap 75 to come to lap 76. So laps winding down, getting closer to lap 100 mark, which means we'll start counting down here. So a lot more fun to be had throughout the rest of this race.
Let's back out on top of the pace car. No changes from what we saw the first time as far as the lane selection. 71 wants the outside. It'll mean that P2 Matt Cucker ends up at the bottom of the racetrack. We will see if the result is the same and if the outside is really that much of a better place to be. Green flag flies as we put lap number 76 behind us, and it is another fantastic jump for Rasmussen. He will transition to the inside of the racetrack with a great run at it too, and puts himself a couple of car lengths in a fight for second.
Yeah, Cucker trying to get by the number 88 quickly so he can try and make his moves on the 71 of Rasmussen. The thing is, Watson's not letting him go in any sort of regard. He wants to fight him hard, and he's just doing that. And it looks like the 88's actually going to pull away a little bit. And here comes the 25 of Stefan Baranek. Where did he come from? He came from 18th to where he's at right now. He's actually not going to be able to get to the outside of Matt Cucker as he uses the apron to his advantage. But look at this driver. From the back to the front, and he's actually going to try and make the advance on the 69 right here in the corner. He's not going to have it right now, but wow, where did he come from?
He's been slowly working his way up through the field, and side by side, what you're looking at now, maybe a battle for third and fourth, but it is also a battle between the top two in the championship. But again, Baranek, the odds stacked against him. 1 point per position at a bonus point already in favor for Matt Cucker, means that Stefan Baranek needs to beat him by 12 positions on the racetrack if he is to take the championship lead and win it here tonight for the new Smyrna Speedway. That is a very tall task as things sit at the moment, but you can never say never as we fight for the race lead as well. So still side by side for second, but that's the 88 of Jake Watson on the inside for the race lead, and Rasmussen gets crowded but does not lay out of the gas, stays right there with him.
Yeah, Rasmussen doing a great job of using that outside line effectively, but the 88 will plant those two left side tires on the yellow line and try to get the run off contact a little bit going down off into the corner. That's going to slow the 71 down just a little bit and allow the 88 to take the lead, but I wouldn't count the 71 out of it yet. He's got a nose down there on the inside, and he's going to make it side by side. The crossover move, Evan, as they're coming through 1 and 2 down the back straightaway. It looks like Jake Watson's going to have the run off the corner, as now Nicholas Rasmussen's going to have to worry about the 88 and also the 69, who is always good on those outside lines.
Matt Cucker has done so much in this season alone that he has worked himself to third all-time on the Upstate Racing League wins list. This is not a series that typically sees two drivers dominate. You know, 8 wins for Cucker has him third all-time. He actually surpassed Stefan Baranek on that list, who in multiple seasons has accounted for 7 wins. The 4 he has this year are the most he's ever gotten in a single season alone. So there's a lot of series bests and personal bests that we have seen in this 2018 Pro Late Model season. And it'd be a great fight continuing, getting a little bit more aggressive than what we saw earlier. The 71 was getting pinched high, so he returns the favor, squeezing Watson up against the fence there.
Yeah, watching Rasmussen, this is definitely aggressive driving that you don't typically see from him, so he'll be able to slot back in behind the 88. And remember, this is his final gig here, and so he's got to try and make it worth his while. And definitely crowded the 88, but that's exactly what he did. And here comes Cucker, going to probably try and get on the bottom, but that does not work in any sort of way. So Cucker is going to have to eat that one because he went down to the bottom and did not get anything, at least for the time being. That top side's really good, but we've seen that bottom side able to execute passes for now. So right now, Stefan Baranek edges ahead of Cucker for just right now. And I think the 71, he's just a little bit slower than he was earlier because, you know, look at the difference between the 88 and the rest of the pack now. This is a big gap that the 88's pulling right now that we didn't see this from him earlier. I think he's been hiding this a little bit because, my gosh, he's all of a sudden just blitzed out of here.
Yeah, trying to stretch things out, and it's something that everybody has struggled with tonight. They have not been able to get any sort of separation, and, you know, you look out of the back end of Jake Watson, it's still not a huge gap, but on corner exit, I think the 88 not driving it in as hard into the corner as Rasmussen is, and you can see noticeably in. 71 gets closer, and when he gets back to the gas right there, you see him stretch down the straightaway. So Watson trying to kind of get a little bit of space, and I'm sure everybody would like to get back back into the green flag rhythm of things. Lap number 90 complete, almost halfway home in the final race of the year.
Yeah, and Jake Watson doing a great job at kind of using that exit to kind of gain his time down the back straightaway, as Stefan Marinak maybe looking to make some too wide, as now he does. He sticks a nose in there on Nicholas Rasmussen, but not going to be able to quite make it stick out of 3 and 4, so maybe going to try and look low once again. Rasmussen way high in turns 1 and 2 this time, Evan. Now they're going to be side by side going down the back straightaway. Marinak has done a great job working his way up through the field, and he's going to take that second place, almost 3 wide between Rasmussen, Cocker, and the 24 of Sean Cool as they go off into 1.
You can see how we just spent a couple of laps, talking about some separation, and everybody's back on top of each other. Marinak, though, again, first time tonight, has found himself in front of Cocker. The live points would probably have him, though, still 10 behind, just based on the fact that Cocker's got a bonus point. Stefan Marinak has yet to get one, and Cocker sits 2 positions behind him. He would have to finish this race in 16th. With Marinak, rather, where he sits right now in the number 2 position, he would have to fall a little bit of 16th position for Marinak to get this. Again, you can never say never. All you can do as Marinak, though, is go out there and win the race, and to armchair quarterback yourself is never something I don't think that's fair, but obviously you're going to look back to the last 3 weeks where we saw Cocker get 3 in a row winning at the last 3 tracks, Oxford at Southern National, and just a week ago, to nobody's surprise, Southern with the Myrtle Beach as well in that list, I should say. So, Marinak doing what he can, and he started back at 18th position, Coop. We know that it's a long race. You're going to make up time. As he goes to the inside for the race lead, you have to wonder, it looks like that he's paced himself very well. Can he survive, though, at this pace for another 100 laps?
I think he's got the fastest car on the racetrack. There's no doubt about that. The closing rate between himself and the 88 is just massive. No other driver's been able to do it, and this is the biggest gap we've seen, and he's going to throw the nose in there. I mean, I don't know if that gap was really there between those two, but he just threw the nose in there, and so he's actually, I mean, he's got some handling on that car. He's got some speed. I mean, it's only going to be a matter of time before he gets around the 88, I think, here in the closing half of this race. He's going to show at the top, and I bet you he's going to have a lot of power coming down on the straightaway, but for the time being, he looks like he just barely gets in the outside wall, but he's right there, right behind the 88, and we'll see him probably get to the lead and make it 1 less point that he has to get on Matt Cocker.
And also, it'll be a 2-point swing, because if he can get to the race lead, he'll also get a bonus point for a lap led. There's other bonus points available, obviously most laps led. If he continues, and I think maybe this might have been what he was thinking as far as a qualifying time, Chris. Biggest positions game, the hard charger's a bonus point. If you go the entire race without an incident, that's a bonus point as well, although I do see back end damage, so maybe it's a little bit too late for him to try to fight for that one. But I think Marinak's decision to start at the back was strategic, and he's doing everything he can right now, but getting this 1 extra spot from Watson is a 2-point swing, which is big.
It is, and we crossed that halfway points now. It's going to be interesting to see when these drivers come down pit road, how long they stretch it, and how long they can make it. As you see, Stefan Marinak really get close to the quarter panel of that 88 machine, so he's there. He knows that he can get the run and pass Jake Watson. It's just a matter of if and when. So it's going to be interesting to see, as now he gets a little bit out of shape going out of turn 4, so that's going to lose him some time out of there. So you can tell the tires are definitely have been taking a toll in this race. They've been pushing so hard, especially coming all the way from 18th to 2nd. That's got to do a number on those 4 tires. So we'll have to see how long that 25 can make this charge towards the lead before he has to come down to pit road.
We are past the halfway point in this race, which means to take a look at our iRacing midway race break, brought to you by iRacing, the leading online racing simulation developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service. iRacing organizes, hosts, and officiates races on virtual tracks from all around the globe. And in the fast-paced world of esports, iRacing is your one-stop shop for online racing with officially sanctioned series with the likes of NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of of Outlaws, Global Rallycross, and so many more. Halfway home in tonight's Chasing the Checkers 200, Jake Watson is your race leader. Not that far in front of Stefan Baranek, who is on the outside looking in as far as the championship picture, but has already gained, as you see, after starting at 18th, 17 spots so far. Nicholas Rasmussen in his final start in the series runs in third spot, and championship leader Matt Cucker right there in fourth. Sean Cool rounds out through the top five. Rex Hoyle sits exactly where he started in P6. Al Smith Jr. has dropped off a bit after leading this race earlier on to a race low 7th. Justin McDuff into the top 10, running in 8th position. Hamill is still 9th, and Guillaume Fortin at a race high as well, running in P10.
Running 11th right now is Brian Rogers Jr. Then 12th is Alex O'Rians, and Mark Reuter, he's the last driver on the lead lap in 13th. Wayne McDuff, third, finds himself one lap down in 14th with Dan Dubuque. Heavy impact earlier, he's 15th. James McIntyre Jr. as well has some heavy damage. He's probably not coming back out there with the rest of the other guys, and so he'd be 16th right now. Mike Holtzclaw, Brad Carpenter, and Michael Woodring, they find themselves more than 30 laps down, 17th, 18th, and 19th tonight.
So that's a look top to bottom at your iRacing midway race break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, you can visit iRacing.com to sign up today. Thanks to our friends at Red Bull Global Rallycross, you can visit iRacing.com/membership and use the promo code PR-GRC for an opportunity to start your career on iRacing with 3 months for only $5. Again, that's promo code PR-GRC. It is valid on new iRacing memberships only, and you can find out more information by logging online to iRacing.com/membership. It's still Jake Watson working lap 111 from the Myrtle Beach Speedway. We'll take a quick opportunity to step aside, keep it LSRTV non-stop so you don't miss a moment of the action. You're watching the Upstate Racing League White Knuckle Clothing Pro Late Model Series on your home for sim racing and iRacing Live.
Racing, you wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
And welcome back live from the new Smyrna Speedway. You're watching the battle for third. Nicholas Rasmussen and Matt Cucker fighting for third and fourth position. Leaders have checked down. Jake Watson, 1.1 seconds. And for the Stefan Marinak, who you just saw on the left side of the screen right there, the bright orange and red car. So most separation we have seen so far tonight. Did you watch that fight for third? And we welcome you back into our coverage of the Upstate Racing League White Knuckle Clothing Pro Late Model Series coverage, as always, is brought to you by the folks over at White Knuckle Clothing. You can shop White Knuckle for guys and girls clothing to browse the latest styles of tops, t-shirts, and hoodies and more. All of that online at www.whiteknucklecothinginc.com for more information. And of course, would be remiss to say hello and a big thanks to our friends over at Joel Real Timing. Coverage of the Upstate Racing League and LSRTV is brought to you by Joel Real Timing, the official timing software of LSRTV. Whether you spend your time on the sim from behind the wheel, on top of the pit box, or the spotter stand, JRT is your go-to software for iRacing timing and scoring analytics. You can get yourself the basic download or buy the full pro version by logging online to joel-real-timing.com for more information. Take an eye back on everything that's going on. Some lap cars beginning to slowly become a factor in this race, but as noted, the biggest separation all night at lap 125.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the most calmest parts of the race, and I really wasn't expecting it until a little bit more later, actually, because it wasn't that longer that we had a restart. Although this is going to be one of our longer green flag runs, mainly because that first green flag run was it was so jam-packed the whole time, and right now what we're seeing is older tires that they're just not coming in to get them refreshed and get some four new tires on these things. So I was expecting these guys to have to come in for fuel at some point, and I think that's what the 9 of Alex Oriens might be doing. So he's coming down pit road, but I have a feeling that some of these guys are really trying to stretch this thing.
We will see if that's the case with only 12 cars at a lead lap, and Alex Oriens in is noted right there from 13th position. McDuff is 2 laps down in 14th. Everybody else, though, I think is out of this race. That would mean retirees for Dubuque. Looks like Holtzclaw, Carpenter, and Woodring. McIntyre is actually on track and will pass Dubuque there. Just does it actually as I say that, jumping 15th to 16th position. He is 40 laps down as he hits the fence, so I will give credit to that entry for sticking it out. I don't think he's going to be able to beat Al Smith, and there's a little bit of a bet going on between the manufacturers, and I think he should give his paint guy a call under the yellow, let him know if it's going to be some blue Ford ovals on that car for next year. But good to see James getting his money's worth here in the last race of the year and just continuing to run things out.
Yeah, and that's really all you got to do, especially when you're in his position. Is, I mean, you're here, you got that entry, might as well use up and get all the racing you can out of this last race of the season, and hope and get back next year, especially under that new manufacturer with the blue ovals. Like you mentioned, he'll have a whole lot more friends out there, I guess, with Al Smith Jr., so it'll be interesting to see. As now I'm looking at Stefan Marinak really do some work up here, passing a lapped car. That's going to be the 36 of Mark Royer, but too bad time doesn't win a championship here, Evan, because he's pulled almost 2 seconds on these guys battling for third and fourth, and even Rasmussen here within the past few laps has really pulled on Matt Cucker. So Cucker really not liking the handling of his car, as he was all down under the apron coming off of turn 4. So maybe some handling issues for that 69, or the tires are just going away in a big way.
And that's what we expect. Again, we're getting close to the point now where we're going to start to rival the longest green flag run of the night, but obviously with the drivers' tires starting to wear off even more. We went nearly 60 laps, then had 2 yellows, and since then we've gone a decent amount, not quite to that number, but these guys are definitely challenging it, and give it another 15-20 laps, we will be on the longest green flag run of the night. You have to think that these drivers have worked to get into the position that they've gotten to now, and I think one big thing to not forget about as you're on board with Cucker is, even if Stefan Marinak got to the race lead as we sit now, past Jake Watson got those 2 extra points and closed the gap between he and Knuckle from what right now sits at 10-8, it wouldn't make that big of a difference. Now, obviously, if Knuckle finds himself in trouble, the lowest he could fall down to is 11th position. Well, that would be enough to get the job done, but only if Stefan Baranek is leading. So this championship is not yet mathematically done, but that window of opportunity gets smaller and smaller with the passage of each 0.48 miles that these guys complete.
Yeah, that's definitely correct, and I am curious see what does change these guys' ability to start marching through this field or marching forward, because really it looks like Jake Watson at this moment in the race is just untouchable. I'm curious if Matt Knuckle is trying to really save those tires in case a caution comes out, because he would be a hero if that happens. He's right now being fought against, it looks like it's going to be Mark Royer. He's a lap down, but nonetheless Mark was trying to get some stuff on there. But the guy behind him, Rex Toyle, he's had one of his better races this race too, and so he's coming off turn 4. He's actually catching Matt Knuckle. Like I said, I think Matt might be saving just a little bit, just in case, which is pretty uncharacteristic of Matt to be saving at this point in the race, not being the leader, but could be the case. Could be the case for a lot of these drivers, but I guarantee you, Stefan Baranek's not saving, and neither is Jake Watson.
At this point, you're just trying to finish strong. Last race of the year, Jake Watson would like to get his second of the year, second of his career in this Upstate Racing League. Obviously, Baranek is trying for the long shot here for the championship. Nicholas Rasmussen, I think third position would be unfortunately fitting for him this year. He has been so very good. 9 top 5s, that's third most out of anybody. 11 top 10s, that's also third most out of anybody in the series. So if you were to finish this one in third, and also, by the way, that would be third in the championship if he finishes where they run now, because he's still running in front of AJ Hamill, who came into tonight just 4 points behind him. It would be an unfortunately fitting third for Nicholas Rasmussen, who just couldn't get that little bit extra to make a difference and to make a push for a title in this championship.
Yeah, and that's got it. Eat away at him a little bit, but a third place isn't really to get all bent up and out of shape for, because he really did give it his all, and he's giving it his all out there right now, doing a great job at running around this track in third place. Really got nobody around him, no pressure out the front, no pressure out the back, just kind of running his own race, trying to get down here and maybe push it as far as he can to before he has to come down pit road and get the most out he can out of that 71 machine. Meanwhile, nothing really else going back on throughout the pack. I think the closest really on-track battle you got is between the 20 of Justin McDuff and that 96 of Al Smith Jr. It looks like they're the 2 closest battles inside your top 10, and they're really not all that close together, except McDuff is slowly but surely closing in on that 96 machine.
You always have to look for a fight here and a fight there, and again, everybody fighting for their own battles here as we continue to see McDuff try to close at an Al Smith in a fight for 7th, and Al got to the race late early and thought Coop maybe this was going to be his night. He looked like one of the fastest cars, and quite sharp contrast compared to the 10-second, almost 11-second deficit that he sits to the race leader just in front of McDuff, who we ride on board with.
Yeah, he was strong earlier, but remember, we haven't been able to come down for tires at all in this entire race, and Al Smith just might not have had anticipated being 150 lap tires. I guarantee you, if this was if the tire was real life, these guys would be just all over the place. I don't think many drivers are really able to go 150 laps straight, but it looks like he might be passed on the outside here by the 20. Justin McDuff, he's looking, but he's not able to get it. The 96 to let him have at least the look, kind of a peek at the outside, but 96 kind of likes the bottom side, and I think that's where the 20 is going to try and get him. As actually, Justin McDuff has some pretty good rear end damage from earlier on. It's, you know, typical short track racing, I'm sure, but as we hit the 150 lap mark, these guys will start to slide even more as the night goes on, especially no tire changes with anybody except for the 9 of Alex Oriens. He's the only driver that has come down, and I'll say at this point, if they haven't come down pit road, I don't think any of them are going to at this point. I'd say that some of them might be saving, some of them might be just able to make it to the end, but I find that really to be a close scenario for some of these drivers.
And during the regular season, for those opening 10 races, it was a lot more of a question: do we have tires available? Some weeks you'd get 4 tires available, some weeks you would not have the option to. But in a 100-lap race, not that big of a deal if they're not allowed to come down and get tires. Obviously, in a 200-lap race, those tires are going to be twice as bad, and that's exactly why you see the slipping and sliding going on. Now, if we were to get a yellow, Chris, check everybody up, I would absolutely think you to come down to get the tires, just to look at, the fall off. Let's look all the way up to the top of the board. Jake Watson, your race leader, fastest lap on a race trim he put down was at lap 3. It was an 18.5. He put that at 19.4. So you get about a second of fall off, and because there's only 11 cars on the lead lap, maybe getting 2 or 4 tires could be worthwhile if there's enough laps left on the board. Not for a 2, not for a 3-lap shootout, but anything more than 5, I think you're going to have takers. Now, that's a big if, because we've got a lot of separation with only 46 laps to go, as, well, Jake Watson tags the fence as your race leader. You saw that at a 4.
I think you guys are both exactly right. If it stays green, Coop, you're right. They're not going to come down. I don't think they really have the time to waste at this point. And Evan, you're right, because if there's a caution, why not? And you would only get faster and have another shot at winning this race. Meanwhile, kind of looking at a battle that's seemingly working its way up, and that's between the 69 of Matt Cucker and the 50 of Rex Hoyle. Hoyle started in 6th, not really changing too much, running around in that 5th place position right now, but it looks like he's safe to stuff just a little bit better than Matt Cucker, because he's slowly and ever so slowly creeping up on that 69 machine lap by lap. So that might be something to watch here on in a few laps time, because like you mentioned, a whole lot of separation going on throughout the rest of the track.
Everything's spread it out except for up front, where Marinak is on the charge to the back bumper of Jake Watson, as here we go, lap traffic in front of him. We will see if AJ Hamill plays a factor, running at 11th position, and the final driver right now on the lead lap at a P11. It'll be curious to see if he moves up, gives these 2 space, or if he holds the bottom, which would force both Watson and Marinak to go high. That could be big as well, and even though this is a lap car, he's not way off pace, so it's not going to be a walk in the park unless he just straight pulls way out of the way, Coop. That's not going to be a quick pass for Watson.
No, and Marinak's right there. Any mistake by the 88, he's going to be right there, but they both touch the wall. They both hit it together, and it's hard to see, to judge that as the 25 when you're that close to somebody to see where they make a mistake. You can't see the asphalt. You can't see where they're going, so that's why they both hit the outside wall. Not bad by either one of them, but here comes Stefan Marinak, really close, and I think he's going to have to try something different, because right now he's not getting any advantage on the 88 right now, and Stefan's got to try something. If he wants to win this race with 40 laps to go, he's got to really push something harder, or really save those tires just enough to get the job done on the bottom side.
All of this comes into play. The 25 also made that, I mean, really the charge up front was so quick, got right to Watson. You have to wonder if he pushed it a little bit too much all at once there. And as this fight continues, well, I assume everybody's going to continue to tighten up. This battle between first and second was at one point over a second of a difference. Now they're right on top of each other. So Nicholas Rasmussen coming up in 3rd. He's getting closer lap by lap. He might also jump into the picture, make it a 3-way fight for the race lead as these two continue to focus on each other. That car right behind them, that's the lap car that we just passed of AJ Hamill, but at the top of the screen right there on the left, that's Nicholas Rasmussen in 3rd, tightening things up. Gets a half a tenth that time by. He also has to get around the lap car, but when he does, he's not going to be far off.
Yeah, Rasmussen really needs to hope that this 88 of Watson and the 25 of Marinak keep battling. You can see how close they are together, and they really haven't changed too much. Marinak falling off just a little bit once again here, Evan, so Watson might have kicked it into another gear to take it and extend that gap. You can see he's doing exactly what he's been doing all night, really just using that exit to strengthen that gap down the straightaways. He's really good on exit rather than everybody else, and you can see him use that yellow line line to try to turn the car, made the car a little bit too tight, especially with these worn tires, but see him go up and cut it right back down and pull a little bit of a gap. So Jake Watson definitely has the line figured out here. That's why he started first, and he remains in your lead as we get ready to cross lap 166 to 167. Laps are quickly winding down here, guys.
And you have to wonder if you're Watson, you know, you've found the best line to be in, Coop, but I think if somebody's pressuring you, if Marinak's there, sometimes the fastest way around the racetrack is a vulnerable line. If it happens to be a lane up the hill, even if you're not completely concerned that the inside of the racetrack will get you just like that, if the fastest lane is leaving a lane open for Marinak, I would think you'd have to deviate from that a little bit and drive defensively.
Yeah, I have to go a little bit on the contrary and just say that I think Jake Watson's gonna be just fine where he's at. You know, there's no response from Marinak right now to do anything different, and yeah, he's gonna try and go to the bottom now, and I think the 88's doing the same thing too, but the way that they're driving is not the same as Nicholas has been doing. Nicholas has actually been going down to the very bottom of the track, and that's where he's been catching these guys. I think they expected the top side to really be the fastest all night. Well, with the dynamic track, it goes both ways. It'll start at the bottom to go to the top, and when they run at the top so long, that bottom side starts to get going. I think Marinak just has to really do it as he gets a little bit of contact, but this is really good for Marinak, or for Rasmussen here. Look at him go. He's getting closer.
He's right on top of things now, just a half a second off, and now this puts the pressure on Marinak. He was applying the pressure to Watson. He could back off and make a charge as he wanted, but now if Marinak's going forward, Rasmussen's going to make sure that he starts to go backwards. Although the 71 drops off a little bit, there is another piece of lap traffic right there on the horizon. It's Guillaume Fortin in the number 13 Chevrolet. He is now the last driver on the lead lap in P10, and the next lap car after him is 3 seconds up the road. And Brian Rogers Jr. going to be the same story, though not a quick pass unless Fortin gets way out of the way. And look at the 25, catches Watson sleeping, gets a nose to the inside, and we're going to go side by side for the race lead. Lap car up and out of the way, but we're door to door. There's a lot of contact.
Contact going in, more contact as they're gonna throw him up in the wall, Evan, and that's gonna seal the deal for Jake Watson. A big donut on the left side of that car, gonna move to Stefan Marinak up to the lead, but he can't afford to breathe just yet because look who's just right behind him, lurking and waiting. That 71 of Nicholas Rasmussen had caught him all the way up through that side-by-side battling, and even before then, like Coop said, running that very bottom line that's really come back into fruition here. So that 71 gonna be catching that 25, and with that little bit of left or right front damage, I should say, on that 25 machine, maybe it's going to slow him up just enough, make that car just a little bit tighter so the 71 of Nicholas Rasmussen can be there at the end.
Maybe Watson not done yet, as he has got that very noticeable damage, that donut right on the left side of the 88 machine. This is his view. He's only 8/10ths back. If Marinak and Rasmussen start to exchange courtesies, if you will, he's right there as well. Remember, Rasmussen came from over 2 seconds back to catch up in a matter of 10-15 laps. Watson's got 25 to make up 8/10ths. The question is, though, obviously he lost time and the car is torn up a little bit from the contact. Will that hurt his speed? That's the big thing.
I think at this point, this is a Stefan Marinak kind of race, because he was being very, very, very patient with Jake Watson, and when he made his move, I had to go back and look at the incident between those two, because I don't know who's at fault. You know, there's a lot of hard racing going on late in these races, and I think basically they caught each other in the entrance of the corner, which is a really weird place to get each other. But oh, Watson actually is brake checking somebody back there. It's number 9 of Alex Orion to lap down. Doesn't like the fact that he's messing with him, but that's only going to slow Jake down, so that's not good for him in any sort of way. Now he's 1.5 seconds back, but Stefan Marinak, I mean, he was being so patient with him. He had so much more speed than the 88, and no matter what, I think he was going to make the move, but now we know how much more speed he has, because he's still pulling away from Nicholas, who we thought was faster than both of them right there.
And of course, obviously, with Marinak, that's the 2-point swing, because he goes from second to first, gets the bonus point for the lap lead, and he gets the point, obviously, for moving up from second to first. But also, Matt Kucker has lost a position, falling from 4th to 5th with Rex Hoyle getting around him. Now, again, that is still not enough of a swing for Stefan Baranek to get the win. He would only need to now with the new points look. He would have to have Matt Kucker fall to at least 11th position. 10th might work, depending on if Baranek does indeed get a bonus point for getting the most positions out of anybody. He's gone from the back to the front, so that seems like pretty much a lockup for him. But the problem is, with this long, now the longest green flag stretch of the night in the works, there's only 9 cars left on the lead lap. That's still not doable.
Yeah, still not doable, and I think this is pretty much locked up for Matt Kucker. All he has to do is really right at the end. We're getting down to crunch time here, and he's about 5 seconds ahead of that 24 of Sean Cool, who's back there in 6th place position, so doesn't really have too much to worry about out the back end. So Stefan Baranek definitely put up a valiant effort, and the win won't hurt, but he still has to make it just a couple of more laps here, as Nicholas Rasmussen is pretty much falling off the back end of that 25 machine. He's trying to make that charge again, getting around all these lapped cars. Lap traffic becoming a huge factor here as we get in the late going through this race here, Evan.
And what we've been looking at is not a battle for position. That's Jake Watson right in front of Rex Hoyle, who runs in 4th. Watson is a fight for position, but the car in front that he's fighting with, the non of Alex Oriens, is 2 laps down, and they have been very physical with one another as Oriens pushed his way through. Watson has had a couple of opportunities right on the bumper to retaliate, hasn't gone for the bumper, so I don't think the 88 Watson is interested in jeopardizing a 3rd place finish for fighting with a car that is 2 laps down and running in 13th, but Oriens bullying his way through there, now leaving Watson in the hands of Hoyle in a battle for 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, I think for Jake, he felt it was highly unnecessary for a driver with 2 laps down and new tires to be hitting him like that. So Jake had done it multiple times and brake checked him, and well, the 9 didn't like that either. So the 9 just proceeded to basically bully his way past him, and I think Jake did try and actually turn him on the straightaway. I didn't do so, and then when the 9 got around, I think the 88 just realized it wasn't worth it, because now he's gonna have somebody in the inside. That's Rex Hoyle, and believe me, he's not gonna want to give this position away either. But at the same time, that's not the 9 that's fighting him either. So I think Rex is aware of what transpired in front of him and doesn't really want to be a part of that, although I'm sure he wants a top 3, which would be his first of the season. Definitely wants that, because he has one of the most pristine cars out there. I don't think there's a scratch on it, and he really wants that, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get it from Jake here, especially with what just occurred with him and the 9.
And the big thing is,
or not.
Yeah, he'll get to go to the inside, and that's an easy pass. Watson's going to let him go, but the big thing, I think, the problem is he's 3.5 seconds back with 10 laps to go next time by. Don't look now, but Nicholas Rasmussen is on the door of Stefan Baranek again in his farewell race, and the Upstate Racing League can only get as high as, I think, finishing in the number 3 position overall in the points, but is so very close to possibly parking this car in victory lane. As it's hit right now, he just has to get around Baranek, and I don't think the 71, knowing what Baranek is fighting for, is going to put the bumper to him or anything, but Rasmussen, I think, might make this one fun still before this time runs out inside of 10 to go.
Yeah, 9 laps to go this time by as they just crossed the line, so gonna be interesting to see if Rasmussen, I should say, tried to combine Baranek and Rasmussen, didn't really work out too well right there. So gonna see if that 71 machine can catch up to the 25, really trying to work by on the high side. That's gonna be the 96 of Al Smith Jr. They're gonna put a lap down, and he's in 7th, guys. So that just goes to show how much your leaders have been working through this field and how fast-paced they have been. But going down the back straightaway, Baranek has a pretty comfortable lead. I don't know if Rasmussen's going to have enough time to get there, and when he gets there, we know how tough it is to pass here, so do not know if Rasmussen is going to have the cards to do it, but like you said, never say never.
You can never count anybody out in this thing. I also saw the lap traffic in front of these guys, which is no longer a factor. They've both been able to get around Al Smith Jr. I do not think they're going to catch up to who now is the final car on the lead lap, Justin McDuff, who is scored in 6th position. So next time by, we will take 5 laps left to go for Stefan Baranek. One more lap from there, and a yellow flag would end this race. And for the 25, putting together a couple of good laps here in a row, stretching the gap out from Rasmussen to 3 car lengths.
5 laps here to go at the stripe, and yeah, Nicholas trying to get it done. I think he's pushed his car to the limit and maybe even a little bit more. I know he's probably run one of his best and hardest races this race, and it's going to be one of those things where he's probably going to get as close as he can without wrecking something, but he's going to give it everything he's got here with 4 laps to go. And this Marinak's going to do something that no one's done ever in any of the series that I think we've ever covered, is you get a top 5 in every single race in the season. Sadly, I don't think it'll be in a championship, but it's still impressive nonetheless, as we'll have just the final countdown right here.
3 laps to go for the New Smyrna Speedway. Rasmussen still in search of that 5th career win, and the Upstate Racing League does not have one yet this season. Stefan Baranek having his best year, 4 wins, with 7 total now on the career for him. And it would be, quite a tough pill to swallow, I would imagine, to have your best all-time, full season performance and just not have enough, as Matt Cucker has regained a position in 4th spot, pretty much making that gap now insurmountable. Into the final lap, this time by penultimate time in turn number 4 for Stefan Baranek. The white flag is going to be in the air for the driver of the number 25 machine. Again, so successful this would be if he can hang on. His 2nd win of the chase, his 5th win of the season. It's going to be too little too late in the grand scheme of things, but he comes out of 4 for the final time. Rasmussen's last-second charge won't stick, and Stefan Baranek wins from the New Smyrna Speedway. And the big story is behind. At a turn number 4, Matt Cocker comes home in the number 4 position and will unofficially secure the Upstate Racing League Pro Late Model Series Championship for 2018.
And what a drive by that 25 machine to come all the way from next to last here, Evan, and pick up the win in the final race of the season. Unfortunately, not going to be enough, just shy of that championship run. That's going to go to Matt Cucker, who, like you mentioned, finishes in the 4th place, did exactly what he needed to do, kept all 4 tires on it, kept the car clean, and brought it home successfully. So congratulations to that 69 machine on a very successful championship run.
The top 3, as they do every week, park it on the front straightaway. Baranek, Rasmussen, and Hoyle. And then you have the 4th place finisher here tonight waiting just behind, because Matt Cucker has some burnouts to do. A champion for 2018. We will get the official word, and we will hand out some hardware when we come back to the New Smyrna Speedway. We'll take this opportunity to step aside one final time, and the post-race show as we wrap up the 2018 season when we come back. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of the 2018 Upstate Racing League White Knuckle Clothing Pro Late Model Series on your home for sim racing and iRacing Live. The post-race show when we come back.
Really enjoy dirt racing. Feels good to get in the car, and we have great cars and engines and things at KKR, so it's nice to drive a fast sprint car.
Couple of separate lines developing, 3 wide action on a turn 2. Craig Kinzer, Casey Kane, and Garrett Pittman going at it.
I think the differences between NASCAR and the sprint races on dirt is just a much different mindset. The way you drive your cars, the setup, the feel you're looking for. I think one of the hardest things to tell as a fan is when you're watching a race, whether it's a NASCAR race, a dirt race, is just what's really going on in the car. With iRacing, you can get the way that the track's changing, which they've done a great job in how the track changes throughout the night or throughout the race, just to try to capture it and let the fans play it and realize, like, man, there's actually a lot going on, and you can't always see that when you watch a race. So I think it's pretty neat. It's, enjoyable for me, but at the end of the day, it's actually much of a simulation, and there's a lot of ways that you can learn from that. And early on, it was neat to look at the Cup tracks that I was going to, places that I had never been. So I think it kind of gives you a head start leading into a weekend. it's pretty real life, and that's pretty neat.
And welcome back live to a now much quieter New Smyrna Speedway for the LSRTV post-race show as we wrap up what has been another fun season of the Upstate Racing League here on LSRTV and our Racing Live. The championship stage is being set up at the front straightaway. We will get there in a moment. First, we will chat with the top 3 finishers and take a look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results. When this one comes down to it, Stefan Baranak gets his 5th win. That is the most for him in a single season. And again, between Marinac and Tucker, they take 13 of the 15 wins on the year. They also wrap up the season by winning the last 10 races consecutively between the two of them. Nicholas Rasmussen locks up 3rd in the championship with the 2nd place tonight, still just shy of a win, but a fantastic way for him to go out. We'll chat with him as well as Rex Hoyle, who comes home with a podium in 3rd. Matt Tucker is 4th, though. He'll be your champion that we'll be standing by with as well. Sean Cool ends up 5th, and a final car on the lead lap. P6 is Justin McDuff. Again, this night ended on a very long green flag run. Al Smith Jr. 1 lap down in 7th and 8th position for Jake Watson. 2 laps down for P9 Alex Oriens, and 10th Mark Royer.
And then finishing in the 11th position would be Guillaume Fortin. And then 12th place position AJ Hamill. 13th would finish Wayne McDuff with 3rd. Brian Rogers Jr. finishes 14th. James McIntyre Jr. finishes 15th. Dan Dubuque finishes in the 16th position. Mike Holtzclaw finishes in the 17th position, with Brad Carpenter finishing 18th and Michael Woodring finishing in the 19th position. And I'm going to go down into Victory Lane, and I'm going to talk to Stefan Marinac. Stefan, you get yourself into Victory Lane tonight. Sadly, it wasn't enough. You knew it was a tall task, but you at least get the win tonight to cap off the end of a great season for you.
Yeah, man. First off, congrats to Matt for winning the championship. He had a dominant season this season, and he earned it. So congrats to him. And I have to give a huge shout out to Nicholas Rasmussen. I know this is his last full-time season here, so I'm going to miss seeing him around here. He's one of the cleanest racers that we have here, and I'm going to miss seeing him next year. But it was probably the most bittersweet win I've had.
Is your cat happy to see you win?
She's very happy.
She's very, very loud on the mic tonight, so...
Yeah, she likes attention.
I see that. But going back to racing, where did you find the speed tonight? It seemed that the speed was really just... It was not really in one driver's particular hands when we got that really long run going. Ever since just around 75 or 80, you know, there wasn't one clear driver until really about the end. And then Nicholas, I think, had you for a moment, but you were able to really pull back. What was the trick here tonight?
I think oddly enough, it was probably starting in the back because I really had to save my tires getting through the field. And when I was saving my tires back there, I was able to save a lot of fuel doing that. And yeah, and then I got up near the front on the restarts, and I started racing with Jake Watson. And I kind of realized, you know, after a few laps of that I was racing him pretty hard and a lot harder than I needed to. And so I started backing it off, and that's around the time that I started realizing that I needed fuel, and I was able to kind of save behind him. And eventually, when I was saving fuel, we saved enough tires to get back by him. So yeah, it was just a combination of things, I think.
Well, you'll finish second tonight in the points first in the race, and we said earlier tonight this was statistically your best season ever, and you do get that goal of yours. 15 top fives, 100% top fives. You didn't wreck out of any of the races so far this season. I didn't want to jinx you early in the season because I would have felt terrible about it, but you did not have any of those kind of issues. You just had a very, very solid season. Who makes it happen for you on that number 25 machine?
Well, yeah, White Knuckle Clothing for sponsoring this season. It's been a fantastic season. Shout out to all the drivers out there. This is one of the cleanest leagues I've ever run in. And you guys for doing the broadcasts all season. They've been great. And Mach 1 Racing Graphics and just everyone here at Upstate Racing League. I had a lot of fun.
There you have it. Tonight's winner and second place finisher in the championship. That is Stefan Marinak. And we're going to go swiftly down to pit road where Cisco Scaramuza is going to catch up with Nicholas Rasmussen, our second place finisher here tonight.
And
Cisco.
Nick, the key's been turned off, the car's been put away for the final time as you get ready to end your career here at Upstate Racing League. A fantastic second place finish for you, but the emotions to close this chapter of your racing career, it's talk me through it, man.
Yeah, it's been great. Like I have achieved everything I wanted in the league. Congratulations to Matt for the championship. Really well deserved. I think still unconfirmed, but by looking at the numbers, I think you'll get it. But yeah, fantastic to be racing here. I've enjoyed every single bit of it. I gotta again just give a huge shout out to everybody in the league, all the sponsors for making this happen, you guys in the booth, and it's a nice race. It was fun. I gotta thank Steven, Larkamp, and Casper, train for helping me out with fuel here today. We ran out coming out of 4 in the final lap, so we gave it everything we got, and I'm proud of everything that the team and I have achieved.
And you had a fantastic run as well. You started in 4th and were up front for a little while, led 38 laps, and you finished 2nd here. So not a bad way to end the final race, as it were.
No, absolutely not. I mean, really wish I could have gotten a win on the season. That was honestly the goal coming into this. Think I lost out of a bit in the early races of the season where I missed some opportunities due to me being too hard on tires, but it was good. It was fun, and I'm happy with it. I was racing Jake at some point in the race. I was like, should I back off or shouldn't I to save some fuel? Fortunately, I backed off and turned out to be the right decision. And yeah, again, gave it everything I got. Congratulations to Marinak for the win of the race. Epic drive as always. Yeah, there's nothing else to say than thanks to everybody for making this such a great place to race. I have really enjoyed it.
Well, that's Nicholas Rasmussen. He's not going away completely. We'll be seeing him on RaceSpot TV, Apex Racing Online, etc., all over the place on iRacing. Just will be ending his tenure here on LSRTV as part of the Upstate Racing League. Nicholas, congratulations on a fantastic season, on a fantastic career, and we'll see you around the next turn, my friend.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it, man.
That's Nicholas Rasmussen. Going to pass the mic down to Chris Murdoch, who's caught up with Rex Hoyle.
Yeah, going to be caught up with the number 50 machine of Rex Hoyle, who had a really consistent night, started in 6th, really bumped up your positions to P3. Rex, what did you see out there tonight?
Man, it was a great race. Mainly, I was just trying to stay consistent and try to stay out of trouble, and just kind of rode and just got lucky tonight. I've been trying so hard to get up into the top 5 and run consistent week to week, and finally got things worked out.
Well, it's definitely a good race to end on to get that top 3, and tires were such a big part of the day. I know up here in the booth we were talking about it. People were going to come pit, how hard they were pushing, how hard they were saving, and you kind of seemed to play it just right to be consistent, be up towards the top 5 all night, and finally end up in 3rd. How hard was it to conserve the tires and then push at the end when you needed to?
Well, it wasn't too bad. But basically, at the beginning of the race, I just kind of followed and really didn't push the issue. Just tried to stay in line and stay out of trouble. And then later on, when I could go, I went and made my moves and slowly worked my way forward. I wish I had some more laps because I still had some car left.
and you talk about working your way forward and, you know, working all season to build your consistency and run towards the top 5, and finally getting that done here tonight with New Smyrna. Does that make you excited for next season and what that 50 machine has now?
Oh, it definitely does. This is a tough league, and I really enjoy running here. The competition is awesome, and it's just a great place to race. And to work your way up and be consistent and finish well here, you know, it's an accomplishment.
Well, Rex, before we let you go, sponsors, shout outs, who makes it happen for that 50 machine?
Oh man, I got a big shout out to American Tire Distributors out of Rural Hall, North Carolina. They have stood behind me the whole season. And Pro Shots out of Rural Hall, North Carolina. Those guys are great. Stood behind me all season, even when things were looking bad. They were there for me. And but American Tire Distributors has been great.
Well, Rex, congratulations on the 3rd place. Really good race out there tonight. Hopefully, we'll be talking to you more maybe next season.
Man, I hope so. I want to thank Al and you know, all the administrators on the league. It's a great place to race, and had a great time.
All right, Rex. Thanks for the time. Take it easy.
Thank you, guys.
And there you have it, guys. That's your 3rd place finisher, the 50 of Rex Hoyle. Now I'm going to turn it down to the moment everybody's been waiting for, the hardware presentation. I've been standing by with your series champion, Matt Cucker.
That's right, courtesy of the 4th place finish tonight, it is going to be a championship for the driver of the number 69 machine. We will get his thoughts in a moment. First, as always, pass the microphone over to Mr. Al Smith Jr. for the official presentation.
Well, Matt, on behalf of White Knuckle Clothing, and for the first time ever, we have a rookie winning both championships. On behalf of Brian Rogers Motorsports and White Knuckle Clothing, congratulations on a great season, a well-deserved championship, and here's the hardware. Congratulations.
Woo! Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's hats off to you guys for putting this show together week in and week out. It's a blast coming and racing with you guys. Hopefully, I'll be able to have time to do it next year. And I mean, it was a blast coming in week in and week out.
What about something else that I guess as well with the overall championship goes without saying, but you also win the Brian Rogers Motorsports Rookie of the Year, so we want to thank them for sponsoring that award. You come into this as a rookie, and it's something that we've made a point of almost every week on these Thursdays with the way that you've been bringing it to these guys, that yes, you are a rookie to this series, but very experienced on the short tracks. I still have to imagine, though, that in those first couple of weeks, you come in as a new guy, you don't really know, the entire cast of characters and how they drive and vice versa, trying to feel everybody out. How long did it take you to get into the year before you felt really comfortable and you could start knocking these things out? You got your first set of back-to-back wins on weeks 2 and 3, so I'd assume it happened pretty quick.
Yeah, the first week it was a challenge, just trying to feel how everyone drives, how they drive, if they hold their line or not. The first week at Iowa there, and I mean we didn't have a good week, but that's part of racing. And then we came back out with that second and third week with the wins. I mean, these guys are a great group of guys to race with. I mean, there's not many places, leagues you can go there and people actually talk about what happened and so on and so forth about incidents on the track. But this group, it does it. And I mean, this season was, it's been incredible. I really can't describe right now.
Obviously, it's tough to look back on it all, and at the end of this, much like it was all season, it came down to you and Steph, and he gets the upper hand of you here tonight. He wins 2 of the 5. You win 3 of the 5 races in the chase for the championship, including those 3 consecutively from Oxford, Southern National, and Myrtle Beach. And even though 11 points wasn't a ton coming into tonight, it was that streak of 3 wins in a row that really got it done for you. That was the longest win streak you got all year. Just tell us about what it took to get those wins in those last couple of weeks and set yourself up to be in a position tonight to take home the big trophy.
I knew coming into last week, I knew our 5 tracks, what they would be, and I knew New Smyrna. It's not one of my best tracks. It's, as you can see tonight, I was just terrible, and every time I tried to push the car, it was bad. So I knew coming in here, those 3 weeks, I knew Oxford, Southern National, And especially Myrtle Beach, I knew they were going to be the tracks where I had to capitalize and had to get a point lead. And luckily I was able to, because I definitely needed it for this last week. Because if it would have been any closer, he probably would have just walked away with it, because this track for me is terrible. It's so hard to pass around here. But glad I could come out, and hats off to Stefan for coming in second and Nicholas for third in championship. They kept me on my toes all season long, and they did good.
Obviously, we've seen you in many of places Wednesday nights and Thursday nights as well. Just to kind of look back on it all now, to be able to call yourself a champion in the Upstate Racing League, which is a series that we have been able to be a part of here on LSRTV for so long. And it's not a series that we typically see a couple of drivers run away with it. So I think you forced Stefan into a position where he really had to step up his game, and vice versa. Just to look back on the season as a whole, what are going to be the things you take away?
I mean, it's just the group of guys racing with that, to know that if we race ever again, either in the league or in official races outside the league, that you can count on them to race you clean the whole way. I mean, that's one of the biggest things. Anybody that you really race with, you always know once you leave league racing, you do official stuff or a different league, these guys, they will race you clean because you've raced with them before. And I mean, 15 weeks with a group of guys, it's a long time to be racing. I mean, I don't know how many laps off the top of my head, including all the practice laps that you guys don't see on the broadcast. It's a lot of laps to be racing around with everybody, and hopefully you can carry on with racing the same way as we move on.
As we always ask with our series champions before we let you go, and again, we're still working on finding the origin of this, but as it always goes with the series champions, we must ask with the hard-hitting questions, what is your favorite sandwich?
Oh man, I said it for championship, the Cars Tour last year. It's mustard and salami sandwich. It's the best sandwich it is.
Good to know that it has not changed, and I'm sure we will hear that answer many a times into the future. Matt, we always appreciate your time. I know we borrow a lot of it on here on Wednesdays and Thursdays, but as always, the sponsors and the shout-outs makes it possible for you in that 69 car to race for and win a championship.
I thank Team Vincier. I mean, the team's always been behind me the whole time we race. Thank iAnalyze, Globalcom. We gotta thank CEA for coming on board again. I mean, we were on board at least once a month here, so thank God for them. And I gotta thank you guys for putting on an awesome broadcast. Al Smith with White Knuckle Clothing, they've been a serious sponsor this whole season, and it's nice to see that they were here. And gotta thank Upstate Racing League. I mean, it's a blast coming every week, and hopefully we'll be able to keep doing it.
That's your 8-time race winner on the season and 2018 Upstate Racing League White Knuckle Clothing Pro Late Model Series champion, Matt Knuckle. Matt, we appreciate the time. Congratulations and best of luck going forward. I'm sure we'll be chatting again soon.
Alrighty, thank you guys. Time to party.
To go celebrate. He gets that courtesy of finishing in the number 4 position, and I'll also toss the microphone back down to Cisco Scaramouche. Al Smith Jr. is still standing by with us here on the championship stage, and get a couple of words from the man behind the scenes of it all.
Yeah, and caught up now with Al Smith Jr. And Al, another season in the books here for Upstate Racing, and another fantastic season, a very different season to the likes we've seen. A lot of domination by a few drivers, unlike kind of what we've usually seen. But at the top, it was Matt Knuckle, but still, just the battle with Marinak going all the way to the end of the season was definitely one to watch.
Yeah, it was definitely a battle, and hats off to not only Matt and Stefan, Marinak, Nicholas, all the guys that made the chase, but the whole field. I mean, we averaged 19-20 cars a race, and for short track racing, not a lot of yellows, so it's something that we can hang our hat on and go into the off season pretty proud of, I think. And but this season has been, like you said, it's been different. I can't put a finger on one reason why it's been different, but the racing, side by side, and like Southern National, South Boston come to mind right away, where we had multiple laps, multiple groups of racing, and even tonight on a couple of those restarts, it was pretty dicey, and everybody was clean and respectful, and that's all you can ask for as a league owner and admin.
And of course, this will be the off season of the Pro Series, or the Pro Late Model Series, I should say, but not at all done racing for Upstate Racing League. Still plenty of racing going on through the rest of the league. Fill us in a little bit on what's going to be going on here. Maybe not necessarily on LSRTV, but on the iRacing Sim.
Yeah, right now we're about almost to the halfway point of our Sunday Dirt Series. We're trying our hand with the 360 wing sprint cars in the UMP series that's just running linear only, kind of like a home track series like you go watch on Friday or Saturday night during the summertime. And planning underway already for next season as far as the Pro Late Model Series, looking at an October start once again, and we'll have our approval series and starting probably early September, maybe even late August. So if anybody out there that wants to get involved with the Upstate Racing League, send us an email. All our contact information is right on our website. To send us an email, we'll put you on a list, and when we get signups open up for the approval series, we'll send you an email. And if you're hopefully still interested, and get everybody signed up and ready to go.
And of course, it's not just you behind the scenes. Lots of partners helping make everything possible. Give them here's your chance to give them a shout out. Anyone you need to give a call to here for this season.
Yeah, first of all, I definitely got to thank White Knuckle Clothing Incorporated. If you haven't seen it, their shirts and their merchandise, definitely check them out at whiteknuckleclothinginc.com. Some funny sayings, just some racing sayings. John, Ada, and Dan Gill up there in Watertown. Definitely got to thank them for stepping up and becoming our premier series sponsor, and they sponsor the dirt side too. I got to thank Allied Financial Partners, Arts Barbershop, Atomic Graphics. As we mentioned with Brian Rogers Motorsports, it's really cool to see Matt not only take home the overall championship, but take home the rookie series. And I really got to thank Brian Rogers for stepping up to the and sponsoring that this year. Jokers Esports, Core Life Eatery. I don't know if you have any out near you guys yet, but they're rapidly expanding, and some really good, healthy. It's kind of hard to say good and healthy food at the same time, but it really is. Nicholas Rasmussen, what can I say? What a class act Nick has been. That's going to be a big void next year that hopefully we can fill it in some juncture. But Nick is a fierce competitor and great friend off the track, so definitely got to thank them. OnPitRoad.com. Staggered Motorsports with Alex Oriens, Hag TV, Vermont Fantasy Racing, Loco Toco Designs, you guys at LSR, and then my staff behind me. It's nice to kind of have shoulders and guys that you can lean on and ask for advice and how to make things better and what we can do. So without them, Justin McDuff and AJ Hamill on the admin team, and then our driver council. We have Mike Holtzclaw, Jim McIntyre, Brian Rogers Jr., and just everybody that's involved in the racers. I mean, without them, it's I was really unsure how many cars we'd have tonight, Cisco, and to have the support of everybody that that wanted to show up and race. And I can't tell you how many emails I've gotten saying, "Do we really have to end the season tonight?" And so it's kind of good with some momentum headed into next season, and we'll have a good show starting in October.
All right. Well, that's Al Smith Jr., league director here at Upstate Racing League. Going to pass the mic back to Evan Pisoko here to close us out.
And again, a big thanks to Al for putting all of this together, and of course for giving us a little bit of time here post-race to, of course, give his thoughts on what has been another good season. And Chris, tonight, especially a fun race. We saw Stefan Baranek give it one last push, and I think Matt Cocker, though, rightfully, just if you look at the stats, barely edged it out. Cocker in the win category. Stefan Baranek does end with more top 5s and top 10s, whereas Stefan Baranek did not ever finish outside of the top 5, which is an extremely impressive stat, and it makes the fact that, given that, Matt Cocker still was able to find a way to beat him, I think, even that much more impressive.
Yeah, it was really impressive, Evan. And Matt Cocker may have picked up the Brian Rogers, Rookie of the Year, but like we've mentioned the entire broadcast and probably throughout the entire season, Matt Cocker is no rookie and no stranger to these short track races and this car. So definitely not a shocker that he pulls out the Rookie of the Year and the championship all in one season. Hopefully that he makes the time work and we can get him back on the track here in the Upstate Racing League in the near future, but that is going to be in the future because we've wrapped up tonight's race, crowned a championship, got some heartbreaks, I guess, because Stefan Marinak was also close, but that's what comes with the name of the game here with short track racing.
And of course, over the course of the entire season, Coop, you've been able to be here and bring all of the action to everybody, much more so than I have been able to. And I know that Upstate is just a series that we love covering. We've been with them now for a couple of years and hope nothing more than to be able to return with them for the 2019 campaign when that Pro Late Model Series rolls around. But just your thoughts on what the season was as a whole and kind of the outlook for this series going forward, because again, it does not end here. They still got plenty of stuff going on between when our cameras turn off now and when they turn back on in the fall.
I think we talked to Al Smith Jr. We really, I think we got a taste of what, I liked what he was saying about how there's something different about this season in particular. I just think it's growth overall in the league. You've got your veterans, Marinak, Rasmussen, and Knuckle, who have come and really shown up to play, and even the 88 of Jake Watson has had some shining moments. I mean, those are all but one of your winners this season. I mean, they have really shown the way, and here comes Rex Hoyle at the end of a season to show that, he's there too. So, there's a lot of growth in this series, this season, that we really saw just pretty much in the first couple of weeks, really. After Iowa, we were able to see a big difference in last season, and that was, I think, the most fun part to watch for me. Was sometimes the guys you thought would be up there weren't. Sometimes you expect Nicholas Rasmussen to be up there towards the front, and he wasn't. Or Stefan Marinak, he'd eventually get to the top 5, but he wasn't there quite yet. And then even Matt Knuckle had some moments when he wasn't out there at the front, and whoever was up there was a big shining star at that time. So I think growth is the big takeaway, at least for me, this season.
And of course, you can keep up to date with everybody at the Upstate Racing League on Facebook and on Twitter. Just search the Upstate Racing League, of course, by logging online, which is where you need to go if you want to get involved, by going to upstateracingleague.com for more information. The good news is, while yes, this series must sadly step aside, you do not have to wait until the fall to get more action here at LSRTV and iRacing Live, because we'll be right back with you tomorrow on February the 16th, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, with the Southwest Construction Super Speedway Cup Series and our Saturday night doubleheaders with the Outlaw Modifieds at 9 and the USR Trucks at 10. A full broadcast schedule can be found by going to our website at www.livesimracing.com. But of course, you can stay up to date with us on social media by following us on Twitter at LSRTV and giving us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/LSRTV official for more information, so you do not miss a thing at all. For the final time this year, as we step aside on behalf of the entire team at Livestream Racing LLC, for Laura Lawson, everybody behind the scenes, everybody who's been in the booth on a Thursday night all season long, and of course, for your broadcast team tonight. For myself, Evan Pasoko, Austin Coop, Chris Murdoch, and Cisco Scaramuza, I want to thank you for tuning in. Congratulate not only your race winner, Stefan Marinak, but of course, Matt Knuckle, who is your 2018 Upstate Racing League White Knuckle Clothing Pro Late Model Series champion, takes that by a total of 7 points in the final count. So we step aside tonight. The series will be back down the line Thursday nights this fall. All of those races next year for the Upstate Racing League can be found right here on LSR TV, your home for sim racing. Until then, though, good night, and we'll see you soon.